Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now February 27th of 2020, and ever since the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of fans have been very interested in exactly how Lucasfilm is going to really handle the franchise as we go throughout this entire decade of the 2020s. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, the president of all things Star Wars, is that we do know, and thankfully, that she no longer has full creative control over any of the existing Star Wars projects that are actually in the early works, in the early development phase, if you will. And that, to me, I think is a great move by Disney in order to really kind of bring Star Wars in the right direction. It seems like that was the very first big step to really creating a better future for this massive franchise that they are really trying their very best at right now to make it more successful than the MCU, if not on the same level of success as the MCU. So, when we look at The Rise of Skywalker, obviously this movie had a lot of ups and downs. There were a lot of things about this movie, in my experience at least, that I really enjoyed, or that I really disliked, and a lot of you guys out there may very well agree with me. Some of you may disagree that you full-on hated the movie from start to finish. I, however, liked parts of this movie, and kind of really just hated other elements of Episode 9. So everything related to Kathleen Kennedy and the character of Rey, this is where things begin to pick up quite a bit, and where fans stand and where Kathleen Kennedy stands. So now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are focused on their new Star Wars universe, as well as their new Star Wars trilogy of films, they are also coming up with a plan to reunite the fans around the world to create a better future for the Star Wars franchise. Now, it's explained that now that Kathleen Kennedy no longer has creative control over existing Star Wars projects in the early development phase, and that Disney is cleaning up house over at Lucasfilm. However, during and after the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker, many interviews were given to Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy about the Star Wars franchise, where at one point she was questioned about the ending of the film, featuring Palpatine and Rey. When asked about Rey and her place in the galaxy, Kathleen Kennedy states that she sees Rey as the chosen one in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, as she brought balance to the Force and defeated the great evils such as Palpatine, who was a Sith Lord. Now, it's explained that Kennedy states that she sees Rey as the new chosen one as she takes on the Skywalker legacy as well, and carries it with her at the very end of the film. When also questioned about the ending of the film, Kennedy states that the ending went through many changes and that their production designer did an excellent job at recreating such an iconic piece of scenery from the original trilogy, and that they couldn't have ended the franchise any other way for the Star Wars community, and that they took months to decide on exactly how to end the Skywalker saga during its final frames. So, the thing about Kathleen Kennedy is that, yes, alright, she does see Rey as the chosen one, something that I full-on disagree with. That's just my opinion. My point of view here, Anakin Skywalker is and always will be the chosen one, only him. And that, to me, I think, is the only route that you can really go, because at the end of the day, George Lucas is the one who really just said that, Anakin Skywalker is and will always be the chosen one in and on itself, and that nothing will change. So for Kathleen Kennedy to say something like that, kind of really, it doesn't really make much sense to me, at least, because George Lucas is the man who created Star Wars, and it should remain as is, when he wanted Anakin to remain as the chosen one. So, I believe J.J. Abrams actually touched on this. He stated that the Force is always changing, and how there's always, balance to the Force, but that does not necessarily mean that balance is going to remain forever, and that there's always going to be an imbalance between the dark and the light, and Rey brought that balance in Episode 9. So, in a way, I guess, Kathleen Kennedy could say that Rey is the chosen one, but I just don't agree with that. I feel that it should always be Anakin Skywalker and just be as is. So I think that was the only big problem with bringing back Darth Sidious, is because not only does it interfere with Anakin's sacrifice, but it also does interfere with exactly who is the chosen one who brings an end to the Sith once and for all in the Star Wars galaxy and brings them to full extinction, right? So the last piece I just want to go over here real quick is how Kathleen Kennedy talks about the ending, of how it went through constant changes and how they really tried this for months on end in order to end the Skywalker saga properly for the Star Wars fans, and in order to really do something very unique for the Star Wars franchise. So, how they recreated the set for Tatooine and for the Lars homestead, I think that was a very impressive thing. I actually really liked that. You know, the way that they were able to really introduce that once more. That was the one piece of scenery that I think was more nostalgic in the entire Skywalker saga. That really should have been a thing earlier on in Episode 9, in my point of view. I think it could have ended it in a different way. That's just my point of view on things. But with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.